The man running the ceremony is holding a sword over your neck. You've just drunk wine with a chicken's blood stirred into it. You're kneeling in front of an altar to a war god, promising out loud to let 5 thunderbolts strike you dead if you ever talk. There are 36 of these promises, and every one of them ends with a way you've agreed to die. Get through all of it, and you finally stop being nobody. You become something, and that something is a number. From tonight, you're a 49. Back up 2 years. You're 15 and you're nothing. Not a member, barely a person as far as this world cares. What you are is a blue lantern, which is their word for a kid who hangs around being useful and hoping somebody notices. You run messages. You carry things you don't ask about. And you've attached yourself to an older man everyone calls Dilo, Big Brother. You'd follow him off a roof. He's the first adult who ever treated your time like it was worth buying. First thing you learn, nobody in here says the word triad. That's a foreign word, invented by the British from a triangle in the old symbols. Heaven, earth, and man. You call yourselves the Hung Mun, the Hung family, and the whole thing began as men trying to overthrow a government. That's the second thing you learn. The third one is stranger. Everyone above you goes by a number, and the numbers come from an ancient book of fortune-telling. But if you ask what yours actually means, nobody really agrees anymore. You just wear it. At 17, they decide you're ready, and the way you cross the line hasn't changed in 200 years. It happens at night, around an altar to Guan Yu. He was a real general, and the whole underworld treats him as the god of loyalty, which tells you exactly what they're afraid you'll fail at. And comes the blood, and the wine, and an arch of swords you kneel under while men you barely know hold the blades. You raise 3 fingers, and you swear all 36 oaths. Not to betray your brothers, not to touch their wives or sisters, not to give up a single secret of the family, not even to your own parents. And after each promise, the penalty, in your own voice, killed by 5 thunderbolts, cut down by a myriad of swords. You walked in thinking this was theater. Around oath 20, with a blade over your head and candle smoke in your throat, you stop being sure. The whole point is a rebirth. You go in as yourself. You come out as a hung boy, reborn into the family. And the first rule of the new life is that this family now outranks the one you were actually born into. Then they give you your number, 49, the bottom rung. It's the rank almost everyone in the room shares, the plainest one they've got. And you have never been so happy to be a nobody, because for the first time, it's official, and it comes with brothers. So now you're a 49, a Seigao. You're a soldier, which sounds a great deal better than the actual job, because the job is collecting. You work a patch, a market, a few streets, a row of stalls, and every business on it pays you to be protected, mostly from people exactly like you. Fishmonger hands you a few folded dollars a week, and you both act out the little play where this is a service. You expect it to feel like a gangster. What you actually are, you work out one slow Tuesday, is a door-to-door insurance salesman. The product is you, and the money doesn't stay with you. Most of what you collect goes up to your Dilo, who keeps a cut and passes the rest to his. That's the real machine under all the ritual. Not the numbers, not the oaths. It's big brother and little brother all the way up, every man paying a share to whoever vouched for him. You send yours up to the same man you followed since you were 15. And the strange thing is, it doesn't bother you. You're proud of it. He tells you you've got a future, and you replay that one sentence for a week. There's one number nobody gets given, and everybody fears. 25. A 25 is an informer, a snitch, a man who talks to the police or to a rival. The word is so old that ordinary people in the city still call a traitor a 25, and most of them have no idea why. You learn it fast. It's the one label that gets a brother killed, oath or no oath, and you file it away as somebody else's problem. The way you file away most things at 17 that are quietly about you. Here's the strangest thing about the life you've picked. Over in Japan, the mafia hangs its name on the office door because being a gangster there is perfectly legal. Not here. In Hong Kong, just being what you are is a crime. And it gets stranger because claiming to be a triad is a crime all on its own. The law doesn't have to prove you're a member. It only has to prove you said it. At the top end, telling the wrong person you run a society can cost $1 million in 15 years. So the most feared men in the city are scared of a sentence. You're 17 and you carry it in your mouth everywhere you go. and you're learning to swallow it. By 24, you've hurt enough people well enough to get promoted. Red Pole, 426, the muscle. It's the fighting rank that keeps a district yours. And this is where the neat ladder in your head turns out to be a lie. There isn't one path up. Beside you, a man your age is made a white paper fan, the brains, the one who runs the money. Another becomes a straw sandal, the messenger between gangs. Same rung, 3 completely different jobs. You went up the road that needed a man unafraid to bleed. At 24, you mistook that for a compliment. A red pole is middle management with a weapon. The rank traditionally comes with something like 50 fighters under you. The stalls you use to shake down yourself are somebody else's job now. You run the men who run them. What nobody warned you about is how much of the job is sitting in back rooms being the reasonable one. 2 brothers both swear the same street is theirs. Somebody has to settle it. You're the most frightening man in almost every room you walk into, and you spend a shocking share of that power begging people to calm down. Then the money finds the movies, and so do you. For a while, this city's film business runs partly on men like you. You put cash into pictures, you lean on the stars to sign, and the strange part is the gangster films themselves, because some of them keep a man from your world on the payroll to make sure the made-up triads get the details right. The movies about you are made with your help. One afternoon on a set clears more than a year of fish money, and it works because everyone's too scared to say no until they aren't. One year, 2 producers who pushed back turn up dead. One of them was a man you'd collected from yourself. Polite man who always paid without being asked twice, and you find you can't stop picturing the exact way he used to count. Hundreds of film people march in the streets after that, and one of the biggest movie stars alive walks at the front of the crowd. They're marching about men like you. That's the day you learn the rule that runs your whole trade. Fear works, right up until it makes people less afraid of you than of living like this. They pull you off the street to learn the other side. 415, the white paper fan, the rank that thinks instead of hits. At the tea house that week, your die-low pours for you before you can pour for him, for the first time in your life, and neither of you mentions it. The promotion feels like a punishment for a month, because nobody's afraid of a man with a ledger, and you've spent 10 years measuring yourself by who flinches. Then you watch the real numbers move through the society's books, and you realize you've been playing with coins. The fear was never the product. The fear was the tool that guarded the product. And the product was always this: money, counted quietly, by men nobody outside ever sees. And the biggest number on the page is the powder. Back in the 60s and 70s, the trade moved from opium to heroin, and the families with the right friends near the border became the pipeline. It's the money that dwarfs every racket you ever ran. It's also the one that fills the prisons and the graves. Round the same time, a police raid on a rival society turns up a single sheet of paper with 900 names on it. And every man alive stops sleeping quite so well because a brotherhood that writes its brothers down has written a way to lose them all at once. You tell yourself you only do the books. You're getting very good at the sentences you tell yourself. Then it stops being somebody else's problem. A man from your own initiation class is caught passing names to the police. One of the boys who knelt beside you under the swords, who swore the same 36 oaths in the same candle smoke. A 25 from your own year, and the oaths turn out to mean what they said. Nobody sends 5 thunderbolts. What actually happens is quieter and faster, and afterwards nobody ever says his name again, which is somehow worse than saying it. The night you hear, you catch yourself doing a different kind of math. What you know, what you've seen, what it would be worth to the right listener. Then you notice what you're doing, and you put it down, and you never pick it up again. The rank you never held but leaned on your whole life is the straw sandal. 432. The messenger, the man who carries word from one society to the next. Because there is no single triad, there never was. This city alone had more than 300 separate societies, some with more than 20,000 men, all of them independent, all of them jealous, as likely to fight each other as the police. It isn't a pyramid, it's a forest of families, each one certain it's the real bloodline. And when two of them are a week away from war, it's the straw sandal who walks in the one door where every man inside has sworn to kill men exactly like him, says his piece, and walks back out. You'd rather bleed for a living. He does something braver, and he gets a smaller number for it. At 35, you reach the number that hides 3 jobs inside it, 438. On paper, it's 1 rank. In the room, it's whichever of 3 chairs they sit you in. The vanguard, who runs the ceremonies and quietly holds more power than his title admits. The deputy, the mountain master's own shadow. Or the chair they hand you. Incense master. You're the man who presides over the altar now, the man who holds the sword over the next boy's neck. So you stand where the old man stood the night you turned 17. Same altar, same war god, same swords, and a boy in front of you, drinking the same wine, raising the same 3 fingers. You watch him reach the oath about the thunderbolts, and you watch the exact second it stops being theater for him, because you remember yours, and you finally understand why they never modernized any of this. A payroll can't hold men who might have to die for it. A ritual can. The blood and the god and the 36 ways to die aren't decoration. They're the glue, and you're its keeper now. You used to think you climbed through this family. Holding the sword, you understand something worse. You're one of the men who keeps it a family, so it can go on being a business. There's one detail about your sacred office you try not to think about. Every secret you guard was published a lifetime ago. A policeman gathered up the seized ritual manuals and printed the lot in an official book, on the government's own press. The oaths, the numbers, the whole ceremony. Anyone with a library card can read the 36 promises you're sworn to die protecting. And the ceremony still works, which is the part that would have broken your head at 17, because the secrecy was never the point. The kneeling is the point. A boy doesn't bleed for information. He bleeds to belong to something. So you light the incense, and you keep the open secret anyway. At 47, they make you Mountain Master. 489, the Dragon Head, the top of one hill in the whole forest, and the last number you will ever be given. You have soldiers you'll never meet, collecting from streets you'll never walk. Money reaches you through so many hands it's clean by the time it arrives. People love to put a figure on it. You'll hear the trade you sit on top of moves hundreds of billions a year. You'll also never see that number written down, because a business built on secrecy keeps no honest books, and anyone who quotes you a total is guessing. 32 years ago, you were a blue lantern, hoping a man would notice you were useful. Now you're the man everyone hopes notices them. You keep waiting to feel like you arrived. What you feel is watched. Your die-low is old now. The man who bought your time when you were 15, who took your first folded dollars, who told you that you had a future. He's still a red pole, because not every number goes up, and the family that swore to be his brothers forever has quietly stopped finding him useful. Nobody betrayed him. Nobody had to. The oath said forever, and the machine just moved on. And you're the machine now, so you take care of him. You make sure he's all right. And you catch yourself doing it the way you'd handle any other cost, and you have to put that thought down before you can get through the day. There's a moment in every initiation where somebody tells the story, and for years now, that somebody has been you. You stand at the altar and give the boys the same beginning somebody once gave you. Long ago, 128 fighting monks of a southern Shaolin temple saved the emperor, were betrayed for it, and watched their monastery burn. 5 survived. They swore a blood oath and founded the Brotherhood for revenge. You watch the boys believe it with their whole chests, the way you believed it, and the historians are fairly sure it never happened. No such battle, no such burning anywhere in the records, and the 5 heroes only ever turn up on the society's own lists. You've known that for years. You tell it anyway, and you tell it well, because a family needs a story more than it needs the truth. The part that gets you this late is that the story used to have a point. Overthrow the government, restore the old dynasty. That was the whole reason to swear the oaths, back when the men swearing them meant it. Then the government they hated fell on its own, and the Brotherhood woke up one morning with all its rituals, all its ranks, all its terrible loyalty, and nothing left to aim at. So it aimed itself at the fishmonger. Everything you climbed was built to free a country. By the time it reached you, it had become a very old, very serious machine for collecting a few folded dollars a week. You never became a 25. You want that on the record, even if it's only ever inside your own head, because it's the one line you truly held. You did the math once, the night your classmate disappeared, and you put it down and never picked it up again. You never sold a brother, never talked, never broke the single oath the whole thing hangs on. You kept faith with the family, and the family was a business the entire time. The faith was the product, and you gave it 45 years of the one life you were ever going to get. You held the line perfectly. Some nights, that's the part that's hard to sit with. Not the men you frightened, the oath you kept. There's a boy outside the tea house who runs messages and carries things he doesn't ask about, and watches you come and go like you're the weather. 15 maybe. Useful, hoping somebody notices. You could tell him the whole price list, that this family will outrank his real one, that the number they give him will probably never move, that the cause died a century ago and left the machine running. But you know exactly why he's standing there, because you stood there, and it was never about the money or the story. It was about being wanted by something that swore it would never leave. So you say nothing, you just let him carry your bag, and you watch him light up when you do, the way you once lit up. Somebody has to hold the sword next.